Well, hello, this is Reverend Dr. Tracey Allshafer, and you're watching The Quantum Healer. I'm here today with a very special guest, Renate Novak, who was the former owner of the massage school that I went to. I don't even want to tell you when, but it was Health Choices Holistic Massage School, and it was in Hillsborough. And Renate has an extensive background in many things, many somatic practices, but this episode is going to be about Hakomi and Hakomi Method, I think is what it's called, right?
The Hakomi Method.
Where did you get your start in all of these somatic practices, and how did it get you to where you are now as a personal growth facilitator? Because we have a lot of wisdom and knowledge in there.
Yeah. I mean, I have been extremely fortunate that my mother had the idea of sending me to a holistic education, 2.5-year education, boarding school in Germany, where I learned right then and there with 17 how to help people get healthy, retrieve their health, and maintain their health through natural means. And massage happened to be one of the things I learned there in terms of stress reduction and helping people, get better. But it was up in the mountains in a very healthy environment. So all aspects of what it takes to be healthy were literally, we experienced them and learned how to administer them.
From 17.
Yeah, that was in 1967. I graduated in 69, I believe, from that school.
So what did you do after that school then?
After that school, I immigrated to the United States.
Okay.
I couldn't teach, or no one knew anything then about holistic health.
No.
And I was fortunate to hear of people that had come from California and created a fitness center. They were brand new then.
Okay.
And he wanted a massage therapist. Yeah, I massaged 10,000 approximately.
Yeah, you get to know a thing or two after 10,000 bodywork sessions.
Yeah, because as a massage therapist, I would notice these things, like they're not here in like their legs, right?
Right.
But you can't fix that with massage therapy.
Right.
I mean, maybe you can bring their attention there, but then there are underlying issues why they are not in those parts of their body, right?
Right.
And that massage therapy doesn't quite reach.
That's true. That's very true.
And it would frustrate me.
Right.
And then, of course, I took on the school and got really busy with that.
And how long did you own Health Choices?
18 years.
And in that time, you were learning Hakomi.
Yeah, and I was running the school, and we actually created it to be an institute. And as an institute, we brought in trainings, various kinds of trainings, and all in the alternative health field.
Yeah.
And Hakomi was a big program. It's a 2.5-year learning program, and we imported it into the school, which was wonderful for us to have.
So Hakomi is...
It is a method of how to work with people, and it is a mindful, somatic, which means body, and experiential way of working with people. So it is not like talk therapy, where most of the work happens in rearranging how you think about it or see it.
Right.
And maybe you have some feelings connected to that, but that's about it, Where in Hakomi, we make a lot of room for what happens as you're talking about this. Where does it happen? What happens? Do suddenly your shoulders go up? Or is there suddenly a knot in your stomach? And then we actually spend quite a bit of time being present to that, because that holds a whole lot of information that doesn't live necessarily in your brain.
Right.
And you might not even have had a rational mind on board when things happen to you, and it all gets stored in the body. And so then when we access that and really spend time with it, we can actually process the stuff that's stored forever, because nobody ever knows how to release it. And it's really stored in the body, that you get freed up. It goes its way. And you will no longer get triggered into it, you know, or...
So it's, is it a type of somatic psychotherapy?
Yeah, right.
So there is an active dialogue.
Yeah.
But there's things, are you having people go into different like positions or just feeling into their body? How does the somatic come in?
Yeah, it really depends. I mean, we could experiment with positions, right? Like you said. Like if you talk about something and I notice you holding your shoulders like that as you're talking, you know, that's a fear response, protective body posture, protecting your heart, you know. And I could make experiments, and we do that. We create experiments in the method. And I could say, so I'm wondering how it would be for you. First, we get into a mindful state, because you can't do that like we're chatting now. I'm not that much in touch with, you know, some of it.
Yeah, right.
So, you know, we slow way down, get very mindful. You feel your body first. You know, maybe I have you feel the couch you're leaning against, or your foot on the floor or something, to just get you really slow. And then I would say, so, you know, I notice you're sitting like this when you talk about that. And I'm wondering what would happen if you sat like this. And that might not be safe for you, because you're used to protecting yourself, you know.
Yeah.
So that's just a tiny snippet of how we work. Yeah.
That mindfulness piece is big.
Yeah.
It's big because most of the time people are projecting their awareness out of themselves.
Correct.
And so just the piece of bringing people back into themselves and having that awareness come inward, that's a big piece.
It's huge.
Yeah. Do you spend sometimes a lot of time with people just getting there?
Yes.
I can imagine.
Yeah. I mean, some people are just cut off here, right? You can hear it in their voice. If I ask them, you know, what are you experiencing as you're talking about this? Is there anything else, you know, that you're noticing? They're like, come up with another thought.
Yeah. Right.
They don't say, oh yeah, wow, I have this prick on my chest, you know.
Right.
It's usually not what happens.
Well, I think, you know, we don't like to normally focus on the difficult things, the challenges, so we will find ways to not go there, and cutting off from recognizing how it's manifested in the body is a big part of that. And so when something's left for a long period of time, that's what happens. We see it show up in a physical reality, like where the shoulders are now so pronounced forward. This is like part of their being.
Persona, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how they know they are them, you know. And at some point that needed to happen, because when they were kids, for example, and they had somebody yelling at them all the time, right? This is how they survived, literally, you know. So then even undoing that, we want to do very mindfully, in very close relationship. And I'm, as a practitioner, not the leader. I'm very closely in your planet, as I call it. That's what I feel like I do. I step on your planet. And together we explore what your environment is. And then together we figure out what is the next thing, you know, that can actually be accessed and worked with, you know. So it's a very respectful way of working.
And it requires someone like you that I think, first of all, you know how to hold space for people. That I don't feel like you can teach somebody that gift.
Yeah.
That's really, you have to be a particular type of person to be able to hold space. And then you know, having all the skill set that you're bringing into it so that you recognize quickly or more quickly and know where to go or know where to focus,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I can pick it up and see it,
Yeah.
and even feel it in my body, you know.
And that's that piece that
it's
comes
really
after a while.
attunement. That's called attunement, limbic resonance, right? Where we get really attuned and sensitive to each other.
Who's the founder of Hakomi?
Ron Kurtz is the founder, and he was working with people in a very effective way. And people got curious. How does he do that it is so effective? And they studied him, and a few other psychologists got interested, and they were working with that. And they said, we need a name for this.
Okay.
And then somebody had a dream, and Hakomi showed up, and they said, Hakomi? Yeah, why not Hakomi, right? And then they looked it up, and in Hopi it means, how do I stand in the realm, in relationship? How do I stand in relationship to these realms? Like even here, how do I stand in relationship to being videotaped with you right now, right? Mm-hmm. What happens in me as that occurs?
Yeah.
And what do I do with that, you know? To be, and so another name for Hakomi is assisted self-study.
I like that too.
Yeah, where your awareness towards yourself gets raised. That you can actually notice in any moment in your life, what happens to me when this person shows up? Do I, back off, or is that a heart-opening experience? Because so much, like you said before, we're outward directed.
Right.
We don't even notice how we're responding to things. Mm-hmm. Then we might blow up at somebody, and we don't even know where that came from, right?
Yeah, right.
And so to really cultivate highly sensitive.
Highly sensitive.
And there's actually being classified people now in the way of speaking about people as highly sensitive people. But here there's like a good transition.
Sure.
Because to even just talk about it a little, is like they don't know what they have in their backpack because they're used to it. And that's the way they are. Mm-hmm. But if they come to a session like Hakomi session, and I already sense kind of what is in there, is it sadness, is it anger?
I know you've been looking at me. She's already feeling something.
But if I were to ask you, to just take a breath, first of all, just feel like you're back against the chair, or, because talking is the energy is way up here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
And me too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, let me know when you're kind of there. And so, if you came to me, you probably would have something in mind that you're struggling with, or something. Like something that either irritates you or something that you're working with. You could notice what goes with that. Now, you have done a lot of unpacking. I know that about you. So your backpack might not be so loaded. Mm-hmm.
But I'm happy to share something if you want me to. Because this is coming up a lot lately, is I get very nervous driving with my husband. I always have. He's kind of aggressive driver. And I had a car accident when I was 17 where I fractured my back. And I've tried to explain to him that it just takes me right back, no matter what I do.
Yeah.
It takes me right back to the feeling of I'm trusting this other person, and his energy kind of matches my ex and his energy in that moment when we had the accident. And he's kind of unwilling to drive slower or a different way because that's him. And he just says, well, have we ever gotten in an accident? And I go,
that's not helpful.
but I have. And
Yeah.
this and then he just gets, so it just deteriorates into an argument. And it's
Yeah.
been happening a lot more lately.
Yeah.
I would love to release that somehow, but I just haven't been able to figure that out, that piece.
Yeah, I mean, what you're really talking about is a traumatic rock in your backpack. Because, what did you say, breaking your back?
I have a compression fracture,
Yeah,
and it's still a problem today.
Fracturing your back, right? I mean, that's trauma to the body and to you. And so that gets seared into your system. And from then on, anything that comes even close to that experience, your body gets triggered in an attempt to protect you so this will never happen again. And that's what shows up in you, is you get very nervous because your system is saying, this is too close to how it happened then, we can't tolerate it, we can't have it. And he's not hearing you. He's only hearing his own world. He's not willing, and maybe can't at this point, recognize that your trauma is being re-triggered, literally.
Right.
And there is no him convincing you that you shouldn't get nervous because your system knows something different. And so what do we do then?
Yeah, what do I do?
What do you do? How do you process that? That was part of your question, right?
Yeah.
Is to actually turn your attention towards your system as it is anxious. To, because now is not then.
Right.
But your body is pulling the then into the now. Literally. You're feeling it.
Yeah.
However, now is not then, right? And if you can bring your conscious attention to all the activation and notice it and be present to it and say something like, I'm right here with you. And you're saying it from the here to the you then. Right?
Okay.
It's like a time capsule
I'm here
from the
with
past
you.
arrives in the present. And you take your attention and you let yourself feel the activation. And you stay with it. And if you stay with it, you will notice it will calm down. Now, not if he drives faster or makes a sudden stop. It will right away re-trigger you.
It's going to be the same.
know? Right.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to work with it that way, instead of focusing out there, the cars are too close, he's driving too fast, I'm getting more activated as it's happening, you're not really in touch with this you or that you that is traumatized.
Right.
Like you're abandoning
Yeah.
your activation.
And
You're having a trauma response. It's like the time capsule from then arrives here. But it is a time capsule from then, right? And so, but you are here. And your consciousness and your body is here. And so then engaging the you here to be present to that traumatized part of you and not let it flounder all on itself, to really embrace it. Maybe put your arm, imagine putting your arm around the scared part.
And I'm here with you.
Yeah.
That's what you said.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I'm right here and I'm not going anywhere. And let's take a deep breath together, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And right now the seats are comfortable in the car. And maybe I can watch the nature going by.
When you're in the middle of this response, it's really hard.
Really hard.
To recognize that.
Right.
And get yourself to take some deep breaths and slow down. Like, as mindful as I am, this is just still very triggering.
Exactly. And right here, when the trigger shows up, literally part of your brain goes offline. Mm-hmm. And you're in a survival mode. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's so hard.
Yeah.
And what we're doing by turning towards the sensations is we're engaging the observer part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, that is offline, flipping your lid. Mm-hmm. And in a trauma response, the thing is to bring that lid back in connection with your brain, and then the system can calm down. It's then can get out of the survival mode into a coherent brain function.
It all makes sense. It's just in that moment.
Yeah.
Getting yourself, there's a big step to.
That's right.
To get there.
Yeah.
Any advice on that?
Yeah, because it is a big step. The biggest step is to recognize I'm triggered. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm triggered. Oh, okay. There are things I can do when I'm triggered. Mm-hmm. Because what it really is, it's the sympathetic nervous system is a fight or flight activated. It's the vagus nerve. We need to bring it from the sympathetic, hyperactivated, into the parasympathetic mode. And we can do that. There are techniques. The fastest is like breathing. Mm-hmm. Long exhales, like 10. I found Peter Levine, who is a trauma expert in this field, he says he has people say, ooh, and it's amazing how quickly that brings its vibration, its sound, you're hearing it, engaging your 5 senses is one of the ways, because the 5 senses are here in the moment.
Right.
You can only hear right now.
Okay.
Right? You can see 3 yellow things in the room. Auditory is really good. You can notice all the sounds you're hearing. When you're in the supermarket and like you said,
yeah,
listen for high noises, like children laughing, higher tones. Deeper tones put our system on danger.
Okay.
So hearing, seeing, tasting, touch is what grounds us back into the present moment. And if we can observe it, like, can I feel what temperature of my hand has on my leg? It has to engage that part of the brain. It has to. And so you keep doing that until you feel, okay, I'm better. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you have to sometimes really work on it because you're building new neural pathways. Mm-hmm. Like triggering is automatic. You go offline. What isn't so automatic, eventually you come back online anyway, right? But you can actually make yourself come back online through these ways of really grounding yourself in the present moment, And breathing is accessible because nobody knows it, you're doing it, right?
Right.
If you're in the back of the car, you could hum a tune. Force yourself to hum, because humming is exhaling, right? Long exhale. And there's a sound vibration that your body picks up and knows, oh, I'm here. I'm not back there. I'm here. Yeah, that takes some doing.
Well, maybe this week I'll try all that out.
Yeah.
We'll go for a ride.
Right.
And I'll see, because even just having the conversation now has brought a certain awareness for me to focus on. And it might be a faster way. I might drop into that awareness a little bit quicker.
Yeah, you might notice that you're triggered maybe, right? I mean, look, even thinking of driving to Florida with him, what happens?
I just start to feel sick.
See?
There's this instantaneous, I feel sick
Yep,
somewhere deep inside me,
yep,
and I just start thinking about all the ways I have to prepare to make
Yeah.
the most
That's-
safe and comfortable.
that's panic thinking.
right.
That comes out of already getting triggered into survival mode. Then you have to think about all the things that help you survive this ride, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you said deep inside, I get this feeling. Can you locate that right now?
Well, it was right about here, and that's pretty much where my fracture is right here.
Wow. Right. Isn't it amazing?
It was like an instantaneous, just a little tiny, again, if you're not mindful enough, you wouldn't recognize it.
That's right.
But just enough of a quick queasiness, and it was right about there. And then I thought, that's interesting, because it's
Yeah.
T12
Yeah.
where the fracture is,
Yeah.
right behind
Isn't
here.
it amazing how the body remembers that?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you turn to that feeling, you're going to go for a car ride to Florida. I just want to remind you, right?
Yes, in January.
Yeah, and then it's here.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can turn to that feeling, because that feeling happens without you.
Yeah.
It just happens,
Yeah.
right?
That's the automatic
And
response.
putting your hand on is a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And notice the feeling underneath. And really let it be there. We're not wanting to make it go away, right? And then you have your hand there.
Mm-hmm.
And what would the hand want to communicate to this feeling?
You're safe.
You're safe right now. And I'm paying attention,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm paying attention to how hard this is, how that feels right now.
Mm-hmm.
And
So acknowledging it
yeah,
and honoring it,
yeah,
not ignoring it or trying to ignore that it's not happening.
right, or trying to get rid of it. Most people just want to get rid of
Right.
it,
I mean, so in
Yeah.
a way, just driving myself is trying to get rid of it.
Yeah, avoiding it.
So I'm still not helping to resolve
Yeah,
this response.
the trauma response.
Does
right.
the trauma response ever go away?
It diminishes as you are present to it, and because it is a time capsule from the past. You might never have an accident again, even so your husband drives the way he does, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it gets activated every time he drives, right? And so if you keep being present to it, you would notice that after a while, you're so connected to the past that it's really, this is a little complex. It's like you can either let the trauma response pull you into the past
Mm-hmm.
and be in the trauma and lose your present moment experience, or you can stay in the present moment experience and integrate the past into the present. And that's makes it better.
And to get to even this level of awareness is not where most people are.
No.
It's not something that most people spend the time unpacking.
Right.
So if you're interested in becoming a practitioner,
Yeah.
that's another avenue.
Yeah, HakomiInstitute.com, really check it out.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're so welcome.
For your
I'm so
time
glad
and-
you do what you do.
Thank
really.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.